This is Water and Shade, and today we're finally getting around to look at our brand new trailer for The Wheel of Time on Prime.
It's going to be incredible. These are the 5 things from the trailer that had us absolutely gagging.
So the Wheel of Time trailer dropped last week, and obviously because we have lives and jobs and children and cats and dogs and such, we did not react the moment it happened because getting into this full drag takes at least an hour. Don't judge us. We did watch it when they came out. We reacted accordingly, and now we're ready, and we've processed. We're ready to take a good deep look into the 5 things that really had us gagging.
Okay, so we're jumping straight in at number 5, and it is nudity.
Yes!
Specifically, Rand and Egwene. And I get the feeling that there was something that went down, and for Egwene it was maybe rather a disappointing encounter, just by the look on her face. Just here for that, okay?
Oh my god, I was so excited to see that, and just the look on her face was like, the unspoken words between them were like, hey babe, it was good for you, and she just goes, we need to talk. And it's just so perfect. But I actually really wonder, you know, I know that they've aged them all up a little bit. I know that they are trying to, make it adult, which I appreciate. But it's also, would that mean that given the, the way that Emmonsfielder and Two Rivers folk are, does that mean that they would be married and being in that situation? Or, given the location, given the kind of scenery, I actually kind of wonder, because it looks a little bit ruin-like, I wonder if they consummated their relationship on the road. And they were like, we might not make it to tomorrow. Maybe when they get to Shinar, they go and have a little bathhouse time or something like that. That's kind of what it looked like to me. It looked a little bit too stone-like and a little too, edifice-y to really be like, the stock room at the Wine Spring Inn, which, that's where I would have done it. But it kind of seems to me that it's not really plausible for them to be married. And you know that if they are actually in Emmons Field and they're porking, they're going to get in a whole heap of trouble from mom and dad and all of those people who will not let them pork in the back room of the Wine Spring Inn. So I'm thinking that they are doing some naughty stuff on the road. But she realizes that he's Rand al'Thor, and she just had sex with him, and she is having a lot of regrets, as one does.
As one would. I actually am going to take it in a slightly different direction, which is the possibility that Egwene has her accepted test during season 1, which we'll get to. But I kind of felt like maybe this is a vision of what her life could have been if she weren't to be a part of the White Tower. And the disappointed face is maybe sort of signaling the way will come but once be steadfast, and she's feeling that longing and regret and like, should she stay here or does she go back? And it's kind of maybe that's going on. I'm thinking maybe it didn't actually happen.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. That is the way to stay true to canon while still giving the people what they want. And that is a bunch of
and titties.
Ass and titties. Ass and titties. Let's talk about finally getting a look at the baddies. These have been under such high security, probably because they're, minions of the Dark One. You can't just let them run around. But we have our first look at the Murdral, which is so cool. It looks like exactly what, I don't know, it's what you'd want him to look like. It's the teeth.
Did you ever see New Mutants, the film?
No.
So there's a baddie in there, which is very Myrtle-like, with like its eyeless and mouth. And there's a similarity, but better. I remember even seeing that film at the cinema and being like, oh, that's like what a Myrtle should look like. Where instead of having that sort of eye socket, that very defined eye socket that you see in a lot of arts, it's more of a smoother.
Worm-like.
Yeah. And again, I felt like that's really cool because it makes me think that maybe the people involved in the show who are making these like awesome special effects have drawn on community art to see how the fandom views these things. I also, the Trollocs were not in massive focus, like we couldn't get a really clear shot of them, but I'm okay with that. And I'll tell you why I'm okay with that, because it's like a horror movie. You know, when you watch a horror movie, there's that kind of like suspense and you don't quite see what the bad guy is until like towards the end. And that unveiling is what takes away some of the fear.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of cool that they've done that where you don't quite get a full-on shot of the Trollocs. It's left me wanting to see more, but also the anticipation of seeing more, like, do I want to see more? Am I frightened?
So, like, I appreciate that they're taking the time, doing it right, making it a skit, because these are the worst things that you could possibly come across. They eat people. Like, alive. They're not friends.
It's not that they just eat people. You know, like, it's not like Jaws, for example, is just going to snap you out the water and eat you alive. No, but they like they take you and they put you in a pot and they cook you and they stand around like, we're gonna eat you, we're gonna eat you. And that's something else, man. Like, that's something fucking else.
Yeah, well, and they could turn very hokey very quickly. So, you know, because it's furries. Let's be real, it's furries.
There is one shot for me of Moraine, and you can like, it's like a sort of a bird's eye view, and you can see like a dead Trolloc on the floor, and it does look so cuddly.
Yeah, well, and I personally have battled with the really unhealthy attraction to like Beast in, you know, Beauty and the Beast and in X-Men. So
I was gonna say, I think it was Kelsey Grammer's Beast in X-Men.
Yeah, that was like one of my 6 sexual awakenings. But no, like and then like the live action Beauty and the Beast came out and I was like, oh God! So like Dan Stevens as the Beast singing, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a problem. This is opening a part of me that I am a little uncomfortable with.
Number 3, we're going back to Egwene. Egwene in this trailer was just, I mean, so many moments, but in particular, it's that moment she's rising out of the water and she is
dripping
in color, foreshadowing the house down. I just, that was like, for me, I was like,
it was so good. I've heard two different theories on this. One is my own, that it is the accepted test. And then the other theory that I've heard is it's her foray into the world of dreams. And that's out of that. But I think both of them could happen because I also have another theory that the accepted test and the ter'angreal that they use actually transport you into the world of dreams.
It's what the wise ones learn to do. They all learn how to manipulate the dreams. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know, why wouldn't there be a device that allowed someone who didn't have that skill to be able to do it? I think it's the accepted test. I really do. And the reason why is because if you actually lighten the picture, so because it's quite a dark picture on the outside and you just see her very focal in the center. If you lighten it and the background, you can actually see 2 people standing behind her.
There you go.
And one definitely looks like they're wearing blue, and the other one definitely looks like they're wearing red, which would go with there being Aes Sedai around you. The way that they've chosen the colour of the ink around her in the shots adds that little bit of foreshadowing, that little Easter egg for us fans to go,
Mother is arriving. Mother's getting painted.
The White Tower is now engraven upon your bones.
Yes.
Oh, what this
my bones. Well, speaking of being engraven upon my boners, let's talk. That was a good segue. Let's talk about the small but girthy penis that is the White Tower in this shot. I love it because the Isle of Tar Valon is a vagina. It is a beautifully luscious vulva, and you know, if you like fucking a guy with a Coke can penis, go for it. But it even has balls. Like, somebody pointed out it even has balls, and then we pointed it out as well, that it has balls. It is a turgid, thick, satisfying, but not too long, so it pokes you in the cervix. Perfect kind of structurally sound penis.
Don't be so hard on Tar Valon. You know, winter was hanging on that year. Maybe it was just really cold in Tar Valon that day.
I'm not being hard on Tar Valon. It's being a hard-on.
I mean, it's under pressure. It's got all these cameras on it. I mean, you perform under that much scrutiny. It's an interesting choice. I feel it's more domey than towery. If that makes sense.
It definitely is a circumcised tower.
And on a serious note, and I know it's very hard for us to do on this, there's definitely some very Moroccan themes in there, some North African, certainly like more Arabic themes across Tar Valon that we were seeing. It kind of reminded me of like the souks that you see in Marrakesh, like the marketplaces. So does it kind of make sense that you would be inspired by these places to create that kind of architecture? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like,
yeah, you did see a lot of that. You saw a lot of that kind of pierce-worked architecture in the, you know, the shots of the hall and all that. So I actually really like what we saw of the architecture. It looks like the type of stuff that is been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, we are making jokes about how Tar Valon looks. It's funny. It looks funny. Okay, it's a different.
Robert Jordan wrote it that way. Of course, it is what it is. That's canon.
I mean, you know, he drew a fucking vagina and called it a map. Honey,
look, it's Tar Valon.
We all know what we're seeing here. But seriously, I do like it. I'm not mad at it. I like it. I thought like the shots look really cool. I feel like there's this like it looks like it's sort of growing. Yeah. Which kind of makes sense with like the whole like Tar Valon was built by the Ogier, who, you know, are very into their like growing trees and shit. So why the fuck not?
It's a grower, not a shower. Guess what? This was our 100th penis joke!
Maybe we should like give away something in celebration for our 100th penis joke. Yeah. What is number one? What did make me gag the most? Because I was watching the trailer and I was playing it really, really cool. I was like, okay, yeah. And just gradually my mouth was just opening more and more, like, I mean, literally there are ample opportunities to Photoshop a dick in my mouth throughout that whole reaction, because I was just,
you know I will.
But There was nothing. It was the moment Mother arrived on our screens in the hall of the fucking tower, and I just lost it. Honey, I lost it. It was just fucking beautiful.
Yes. I loved the Aes Sedai. That moment, it didn't happen for me with Siuan. What it happened for me was when we saw Alana doing her like, because I always pictured you have to like charge up your weaves. Like you can't just be like, psst. You have to truly be like, and it was so cool. And she's so like, I just love her. I love Priyanka. She's just so like, she looks really small and like feisty. And I just really love the way that her character already looks. She makes me happy. She looks so Green Aja, and I really, really love it.
I just the Aes Sedai in general. I mean, the whole like color coding, the way that the red Ajar, like chills. Kate Fleetwood's Leandrin, I was just like, what? And do you know that I get vibes from her that I'm gonna love to hate her, you know, which is what I want from my villainesses. I just love that. But she's just like, she looks so good, and so, like the red Ajar in general, just like, I was like, oh my god, I'm scared already. But then like just seeing the whole, we got that like fisheye lens like down onto the wall, and you can see like the 3 sitters from each Ajar.
They all look so good. They just look so cool.
They all looked so good, but they just paled in comparison to the Amyrlin seat herself.
Oh, yes.
When she came on the screen, I feel like she just dominated that trailer. This woman is in charge. This woman oozes power. She oozes charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent up the wazoo.
Yes,
and I was just like, and the little like pastel stole was just
that structure, that
shine.
She is gonna wear that down a runway, and they're gonna be like, yes.
She owns 51% of this tower, and we all fucking believed it.
Yeah. She owns 51% of the entire Westlands. Let's be real.
It was just, any image that I ever had of Siuan in my head beforehand, I don't remember it. It's gone. It's not there anymore. That was her, and it was immaculate. And my jaw, I mean, literally, I think it like dislocated, and I was floored, and I was not expecting it, which I think made it even more special to see, because it was like, yeah, we'll probably get a little bit of Moraine, maybe we'll get a little flash of red Aja, maybe a little bit of green, because we obviously had those in the Entertainment Weekly first look, so I was like, probably get a little bit more. I was not expecting that, and that took it just to a whole. That was the moment that I was gagging for, and it was the moment I just kept going back to.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated that she had like the tattoos across her chest as well.
Yes! Which also brought up another theory of if they're gonna make our mama a sea folk person because of the tattoos. I don't see her as a Tyran, because Tyran, I always feel like they're, like kind of Spanish. Yes. Not to say you can't be black from Spain, but I see her as a sea folk, and she's got a filthy, foul fucking mouth. So I can see that too.
Except from the sea folk, yeah.
I would be 100% on board with Siuan being Athanmir. I think that would be just fantastic.
It would be, because it would be a way to bring in. There's too many cultures that are disconnected from the main Westlands.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, we didn't know about the Seanchan. Oh, we didn't know about the Aiel. oh, we didn't know about the sea folk. And you get to a point where it's like, well, what the fuck did you know about? Clearly fucking nothing. And I feel like if you have too many, then it gets a bit like, oh, again? Oh, again, you didn't know about this? I don't know. There are things you can change for TV. There are adaptations you can change. Why not have one of them? Why not look at one of them and be like, okay, maybe we don't know an awful lot about their culture, but it doesn't mean that they're completely disconnected from the Westerns.
Yeah, and all the other cultures have some bearing on the main plot. Like, you know, Rand is part of the Aiel. Matt marries into the Shanchan. But you don't, aside from the people who broker, like, the agreement, you don't really have a lot of sea folk, like, having a huge bearing on the main plot. So that would be a good way to do it and say, hey, these people are important. We're going to give you a little taste of who they are. And who better than to have the Amerlin fucking seat to it. So shout out to the sea folks. We're thinking of you. We want to let you know that we love you.
Those were our top 5 things that we were gagging over from the trailer. Did we miss anything that you think was better that we should have included? Maybe there was a moment that you felt didn't get enough credit. Tell us in the comments below, or come and join us over on Patreon, where we will be sharing the 3 things that we probably weren't really gagging over in the trailer and we really get a little bit nitpicky about. So, until next time, may you always find water and